Chuck Jones from All HBCU Football here, and I'm at Bruce Boyette Stadium on the campus of Dixie County High School located in Cross City, Florida. I'm joined by a special guest, John Williams, the kicking coach at Edward Waters University. For those of you who do not know, Coach was the first black kicker not only at the University of Florida, but the entire Southeastern Conference. Now, Coach, let's get right into it. You are a Black history pioneer. Where did the journey start for you?
The journey started actually right out here, and just bring back some great memories because 1968, when I came from the Black Tube right across the track, and I played kicker then, and I played quarterback. So I was actually the first black quarterback, but it was on the JV team for the school, for Dixie County High School. And my coach at that particular time said, he gave me kind of a real keen information that I keep with me to this day. He said, you're going to hear a lot of talk because I was playing quarterback, and obviously being the first black quarterback of that sort, that position probably used to go to some other people. But now, we just kind of went at threw the ball a couple of times. He said, you the quarterback. I said, okay, great, that's fine for me. And I didn't think nothing of it. And he said, he called me to his side and said, look, you're going to hear a lot of talks, meaning that people are going to be complaining about me being the black kicker, the black quarterback, etc. He said, let me handle the talk, you play football. I said, okay, that'll work for me. So from that point, then he said we need a kicker. Everybody kicked the ball. I kicked the ball at that time. It wasn't very far, but it was farther than everybody else. And he said, you the kicker. So I'm like, wow, man, that's all I got to do to get a position? Just, So the point was, work at it, perform hard, and go get it. So from that point on, I started kicking. And my JV year, I think I had one or two that actually made it to the end zone, which I was, that was pretty interesting for me. I'm like, that's not so bad. And I played linebacker also at that particular time. Then I only played 3 games of JV ball. And they thought, the varsity coach thought I was good enough to get moved up to the varsity as a 9th grader. And I'm like, wow, okay, very good. And at that particular point, I ran the ball, I scored a touchdown, but as I was going into the end zone, I profiled a little bit, and a little kid from nearby, 121 pounds, almost ended my career. He hit me in the thigh, got a Charlie horse that kind of like was painful. So I moved up to the varsity with that, and they turned me into a running back. So I said, okay. So the very first 1 or 2 practices, I got hit in the thigh, same spot, and I'm like, oh my God. So my leg actually froze up for 6 months. I couldn't bend it. So I went to the then coach and said, Coach, this is such a pain, I cannot play. And so he gave me he the one motivated me. One of the motivations, you'll hear a couple others. I said, Coach, I cannot, the pain is so great, I cannot continue. And the first thing he said, I thought you wanted to play football. You a quitter? And that I never had one thing piss me off so much. And if you know me, that it take a lot for that to happen. He said, I thought you was a quitter. You don't want to play no football. You talking about you hurt. And I said, Coach, and this is a beloved coach in this area, beloved coach. I said, Coach, one thing I am not, and that's a quitter. And if you coaching after I'm healed, you'll see. So when I came back, I can't remember whether he was still coaching or not. I think he was still coaching because I came back the very next year. He was coaching, but right after that, after I got a scholarship, he was one of the first to come to the University of Florida, congratulate me, that kind of thing. So, but my journey then began, it took a turn because of that motivation. Then I became serious when I moved up the very next couple of years playing varsity. Then I became serious about what I was doing. And one of them was linebacker and the other was kicking. So I would practice. And so after practice, all the time I would always then have to learn how to kick because I'd never gone to a structured kicking camp. I had to pretty much teach myself how to do it. And interesting now that I'm teaching people how to kick and coaching kickers, but I never had someone to really so much show me technically how to kick. So I kind of learned on my own and kept, after about hundreds and hundreds of kicks, I said, oh, I understand this. So that's how I kind of got started. And tons of practice on this field, up and down the field. I would kick the ball, run and get it, kick the ball, kick it back, kick it back, kick it back. So that's how they got started here. And quite an interesting journey, a great one for me, and I'm proud of it.
And Coach, I always ask anyone who came before me that grew up in this era, because when I was born, the country was already integrated. What was it like growing up during the segregation era?
Well, it was pretty tough. I remember an incident right here that a family member had just came back from the military and had his uniform on, was happy, proud. So he said, well, we walked across town, which is right down the street from here, and he wanted to get a hamburger. Mm-hmm. So we went in this place, and so I was standing beside him, and I experienced this, standing right beside him, and he said, I want to get a hamburger. And he said, and they came up to him and said, we cannot serve you inside the diner. And I did not even understand at that particular point. But I witnessed it. I didn't know what was going on. I said, what's going on? He said, well, they said I got to go outside. He got on his full uniform, Army uniform, and I was pretty much in shock by that point. And he did nothing wrong, nothing but serve the country, and that was pretty tough. So that was an eye-opener there that it existed pretty deep. I don't think you can get no deeper than, denied service to a military person just because of his color. I think that was pretty deep. So it was like that.
Oh man, yeah, that's had to be some trying times. Now, Coach, you said it all started here. I want to take you back to your senior year of high school now. You were playing kicker and linebacker for Dixie County, who played right here at this stadium. Senior year of high school, 1971. You guys finished state runner-up in Class 2A. You were also named to the first team All-State squad in 2A. But I want to go back to the semifinal game when you guys played the big bad Fort Lauderdale St. Thomas Aquinas, who actually, in real time, they just won their 6th consecutive state championship back in December.
Yes.
But you guys were playing them back in 71 in the semifinal round. In that game, you nailed 2 field goals, including one from 48 yards out, and you returned the interception 60 yards for a score. What are your memories from that game as well as the rest of that season?
Very interesting. We got to the stadium. We were blown away coming from this little small school going to Fort Lauderdale. Seeing the stadium, the coach actually had to take us back in the locker room and told us to calm down because we was pretty blown away because the stadium was so big. We had never seen anything like that. So finally he kind of got us calmed down, and so we came back out on the field. So as the game was started, I was excited because I'm like, I always felt good about my preparation, but I felt especially good this night. And our running back didn't play much in that game because of an injury or something. He played, but not much. So the game gets started, and so I kick a field goal. So and I was like, wow, that was good. So I hit the ball pretty good. Kickoff was great. So now I get the opportunity right before halftime, with 2 minutes or something left, to kick a 48-yard field goal, which at the time was the longest kick in Florida high school history. Did not know that till years later, which was pretty amazing. And then the game progressed. I think I wound up in that game with like 11 or 12 tackles, interception for a touchdown, and I'm probably the only guy here, so you can check this on me, sir, to have a pick six and a field goal in the same game. I'm probably the only guy in history, I believe, but you can check that. I stand to be corrected if I'm not.
Okay, yeah.
But a great game.
That's some good memories to have. Now, what role did your teammates play in your journey? Guys such as Willie Collins.
I actually was captain of the. Me and Willie was the. No, Willie was not the captain. Me and Melvin Corbin was the captain. But Willie was. If you knew Willie, he was such an amazing athlete, strong, big. So we kind of, even though I was the captain, I kind of followed his lead as far as his temperature every game and how he felt, that kind of thing. So you have that guy, you say, well, how's Willie today? How's this guy? So pretty much, I leaned on all of those guys to just check in on them because I was like the captain, but I was checking on them, and if they was good, I was good. And all of them mainly stay good. They followed my leaders for hard work ethics and working out and always being accounted for and on time. So, yeah, that was good.
Okay. Now, you were the first black kicker in SEC history. What did that moment feel like when you realized you were breaking down such a major barrier?
Well, honestly, because of going through partially integration right here, when you get to another level, it doesn't seem so big, but it's still impactful. So, and then when you're doing something, you don't realize that you're breaking that barrier. You just know that you're doing what you're assigned to do. And I think basically, if you're doing what you're assigned to do, that take away some of the scare or all of those things, the fear about it. Because if you hold fast to the task that you was called to do, the surrounding circumstances don't bother you so much. But at certain points that you knew something special was going on, I just didn't know all the impact till later on.
Now, you had some teammates who were also social trailblazers. Willie Jackson and Leonard George were the first African Americans to play football at Florida. Don Gaffney was the first black QB at UF. What was the bond like between you four?
Well, it was pretty amazing. It still is today because I have a football camp here locally. As a matter of fact, April the 12th is my next football camp. They all show up for my football camp, which is an amazing thing for me. But during that time, we created a bond. I remember Don his first game starting was against Auburn in 1973. I was the first freshman to start for the Gators in Gator history. I was the first freshman. We were there at the same time, but he started the very next year against Auburn. But I remember him being really nervous, like shaking nervous when the coach, because he did it the way the coach did it. He didn't kind of know until the last minute, and he was kind of like, wow, man. But we maintained a real good relationship with me, him, his wife, and same with Willie and Leonard, and they all going to come to my campus. We're real close even today, 50 plus years.
Oh, that's good stuff, Coach. That's good stuff, Coach. Now, I know you faced some adversity, no doubt about that. What was the hardest challenge you had to overcome both on and off the field as that first black kicker in the SEC?
Well, I remember an incident. Which really, and God has blessed me with kind of a sense of humor to kind of take things, roll with it, and fight it that way, and being super ready for any moment. So I was interviewed by a reporter back in I think it made it in 72 or 73. I had an amazing kick. So after the game, the reporter he posed a question to me. He said, "What does it feel like kicking the ball with your black foot?" So I attempted to answer him, but I wanted to give him a bit of John Williams. So my John Williams move was, let me see. I was acting as if I was really contemplating on what it feel like kicking with a black foot. So my answer was to him was, well, I've been trying to grow a white foot, and as soon as it grows, I can tell you what the difference is. And he said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I said, "I didn't mean that." I said, "Well, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay." But I only have the 1 foot, so we have to go with that. So later on, he asked me another question. The same guy. He said, "So you must be pretty good." So I'm trying to figure out why would you ask me that question? You already interviewed me about how amazing I was. So now you ask me a question about I must have been pretty good. So my answer to him was, well, I play for the University of Florida. And they have no need, even though I am the first black kicker, they have no need to make that first black kicker be a second-rated kicker. And being the first, I must have been pretty good to be the first. So he said, okay, well, you know what? I'm sorry again. I said, no, it's okay. So you would get kind of that kind of edgy kind of stuff, but you couldn't get mad at it. You could have gotten mad at questions like that, but you have to put it in perspective to make him really check himself. Yeah.
Okay, well, since we're on the subject of, you kicking at Florida, let's pay a visit back to November 25th, 1972.
Oh, boy.
At the time, you were a freshman at UM. You guys were playing 8th ranked LSU.
Yeah.
In a game that had plenty of wind, rain, and was on a muddy field. You called in to attempt a 35-yard field goal with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter to tie the game. What was going through your mind?
Okay, and I've answered this question before. It was actually 2 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game. And I want to go back before the game because I have fun with this one with my friend Jimmy DuBose. I said, Jimmy, do you remember what the priest prayed on that day before the game? He said, no, what is it? I said, he had this great prayer and it was in rhythmic form. He said, Lord, help us, and we pray this prayer unto you. Let it stop raining so we can beat LSU. And it was a monsoon. I'm like, wait a minute, priest. Because it was raining, it was a downpour. But back to the actual game. So LSU missed 7 field goals. They attempted 8 field goals, they missed 7. So I could have got caught up in that saying, oh man, goodness, this is terrible. They're missing all these field goals. This is terrible. But I was so focused in this particular game. I had an unusual focus. And everything was kind of like highlighted. Even the clock ticking, the raindrops. I can see every single raindrop this day. I don't know what was going on. And Coach Dickey, my coach at the time, he had this habit about pacing in front of you. So he was pacing in front of you, and he would walk the sideline, and he kept checking me to check my temperature, I guess to look and see if I'm ready. So that was going on. He was hypnotizing me at the same time for all the walking pacing. So I'm locked in now, I'm like this. I'm watching every. I can see every single thing. The raindrops got bigger. The clock was just like this, and then it said 2:08, and he said, "John, go kick at it." And I hopped on the field because the field was that wet, and I was trying to avoid my shoe getting soggy. So I hopped on the field all the way out, put the ball down, had no thought, am I gonna make it or not? That was nothing, no thought, nothing but kick. looked down at it, kicked the ball. Had one of the greatest long snappers and holders in history. Larry Marsh and David Bowden. Great snapper, great hand from David. So this is what happened when I kicked the ball. So I kicked the ball, and I kicked the ball. So I'm like almost like I kicked the ball with no emotion. I hit it, so I'm just kind of there. And all of a sudden, David, the holder, jumped up. He jumped in my lap and kind of shocked me. He said, "You hit it, baby. You hit it, baby." And he shocked me so bad. I pushed him actually out of my lap. Off of me. I pushed him down he fell off the ground. And it's on video, you can see that. And I'm like, what's going on? Kind of sort of. So I just came back to reality after being hypnotized by Coach Dickey and kicking the ball. So that's kind of interesting. That's how I remember that. It was a great kick. And we thought of it to be a game-winning field goal, even though it was ending a 3-3 tie. And I think they don't even allow games to tie anymore. They have to go into overtime. But I'm part of that history too. The only tie game in Florida history, 3-3 tie. Yeah.
Okay, and let's take you. We continue on your journey while you were at UF. Let's go back to October 20th, 1973. You nailed a 53-yard field goal versus Ole Miss, and that kick stood as a school record for 3 years, a 53-yard field goal. How proud of you of that accomplishment?
Well, I'm very proud. I would have been even prouder about 1 minute before that. I missed a 55-yarder, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that? So Coach Dickey didn't lose hope in me. He walked right past me again. He looked at me and said, when he look at you, if you give him I'm ready, coach. He said, go kick at it. And I did, I nailed it. And actually this particular kick would have made it from at least 60 yards. I got all of that particular kick on that day, and I'm more proud of that. I showed emotion on that particular kick, not like the LSU kick. So I really showed emotion. As soon as I hit it, I was giving the fist bump because I got all of that kick. And when you hit it like that, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, after you graduated from Florida, you spent some time in the American Football Association with the Jacksonville Firebirds. And back on September 29th, 1979, you guys defeated the Carolina Chargers 24-7 in front of 25,000 fans in the Gator Bowl to win the championship. Your thoughts on that experience?
Now that was pretty amazing because earlier that year we had played the same team and they cleaned our clock. They had a running back called Reggie Supernet Smith, and the only kickoff I had that didn't make the end zone, he caught it and ran it back for a touchdown, 95 yards. So my teammates got upset with me and said, wait till we ready to kick the ball. So I had to tell them in my own way that, guys, you can't get ready in 95 yards, something wrong. But anyway, that's another story for that. But they had a great team. He has a running back, Edward Turner as a quarterback, incidentally a black quarterback. And with the Firebirds, I also joined forces with Donna Gaffney and Willie Jackson on that team. We played on that team and we did win the championship. So we won that championship, as you said, that particular evening. And man, what an amazing experience for me. Great. The city was ready for football. Jacksonville was ready for football, and I'm glad we was able to give them a championship.
Okay. Now, when it comes to your legacy, what moment stands out to you as your proudest and why?
Couple of things. This happened to me. I got a scholarship from this school, Dixie County High School, to the University of Florida. And it was based on hard work and motivation that came from, I was already motivated to do whatever I was going to do based on my upbringing, from my mentors, Dolphus Pepper, Prince Oliver, coming through that situation, I was already motivated to do exactly what it is in front of me. And I was going to do it to the best of my ability and with all my might. So one day, I used to often visit the coach's office. We were sitting right of us as we sit. I was visiting the office. The University of Florida coach came, Dave Fuller came to the coach's office looking for Willie Collins, and rightfully he should have been. We was a junior, and Willie was just that bad. He was already looking for him, and I told the coach as I was in the office, he was talking to the coach. He wasn't talking to me, but I was in the office, and I overheard him. So he was talking to Coach Harry Hudson, my coach, and he said, "Coach, Willie, I'm here to see Willie Collins. You know, the regular spiel." And he said, "I'm from the University of Florida, Dave Fuller, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Coach, I can play for the University of Florida." And that was the school I wanted to play for. And he said, he looked at me and he laughed. And I was already upset because he was laughing at me because I was saying, and so he said, "Get on how much you weigh." So I felt about my weight. I said 185. And I'm standing right by a scale, so I got called to the floor at that point. So I stood on the scale. I'm 173 pounds, and he laughed again. He said, "Yeah, well, all right," kind of like that, kind of like brushed me off. And I said, "Coach, you cannot do that to me, Coach. I can play for the University of Florida." And he said, "Well," I said, "Let me ask you this question, Coach. Can you stop me from playing for the University of Florida?" And he said, "I cannot." I said, "Thank you for the motivation." So the very next year, I'm one of the early players to sign. Like early on in the process, I signed. He knocked on the door. As soon as he knocked on the door, I said, "Coach, you don't have to ask any questions. I want to go to the University of Florida." So that motivation from him, I thought I was already ready, but him telling me kind of no gave me the extra motivation to actually go and get it done. So that's kind of where I go with that, yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Guy laughs at you at your high school and then turns around and offers you the scholarship later on down the line.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay, Coach, what was the most unexpected lesson that you learned throughout your journey?
This is okay. As I was went to the University of Florida. So my very first practice. So they had not told me whether I was going to be a kicker or a linebacker, and but I was prepared to do either. So when I get there, the first practice, first day in pads, I come out the tunnel. And their waiting at the end of the tunnel was a JV coach named Jack Hall. So Jack Hall, son, he stopped me and said, "Son, what you gonna do?" And I said, "What am I gonna do about what, Coach?" He said, "What are you gonna play, kicker or linebacker?" So in John Williams' own fashion, I was intrigued. I was about to laugh because I'm like, kicker or linebacker? Man, that's kind of like, I never even thought about it like that, because that's really a stretch to have that question posed to you. So I say, I pretend I was contemplating the question. I already knew my answer. So I thought real hard, and I said, "Coach, I'm going to kick." He said, "Well, go on over there with the varsity." And if I had said linebacker, I would have gone with the JV. And I'd gone with the JV, and I would have never played linebacker at the University of Florida, because at the time we had like 4 All-Americans. And I would have played JV. And that decision right there had me to become the first starter for the University of Florida as a freshman. And that was pretty amazing for me to make that decision. And based on that, but I had the ability and the talent to do it. But if I had made another decision, I would never started as a freshman.
Oh, it looks like you made a great decision on that one, Coach. And what message do you have for? I mean, you're Black History Pioneer, you're a coach at an HBCU. What message do you have for young black people today who are striving to make a difference, whether it's in sports, culture, business, or something else?
Interesting question. Most people think you have opportunity because of what you do on the outside. You have opportunity after you get inside. Get inside and then implode situation rather than try to explode. Implode it, get inside and implode it. Because when you when you have the ability to get inside, and then you do your work from inside. You can gain, even though someone that might have thought different about you, whether it be from a race relation or whatever, they thought different about you, but inside you can change their mind about that. Now they're gonna help you change other situations for blacks and community type situations, but you gotta get inside. You gotta stay focused. You gotta walk worthy of the vocation in which you was called. That's the main thing. When you walk worthy of that, they can't resist helping you.
Okay. And last question, Coach. The work you've done has paved the way for so many others. How would you like to be remembered, Coach?
Well, kind of like my last statement, that I walk worthy of a vocation which I was called. I held fast to that which I was called to do and continue to do. And a full circle moments for me is like giving out the John Williams Award. And I would like to be remembered like that I always gave. And when you give, it makes room for you, your kids, everybody that's associated with you. Giving is giving back to you. That's how I would like to be remembered.
Okay, that's awesome, Coach. And I just, thank you so much for taking time to sit with me today and tell your story. And no disrespect to the current media outlets or past media outlets, it's a story that should have been told.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I'm glad I was the one that you told it to, Coach.
Well, I wish I had met you early on, and I can remember a lot more of the story.
Yes, sir. And that's all that I have. And once again, this is Chuck Jones from All HBCU Football. My special guest, John Williams. We signing out. And listen to this and enjoy. Listen, get you some history.
Thank you, sir.